Grey Knight was edited by that great 70s director icon, Monty Hellman, who had directed Two-Lane Blacktop. It was a great privilege to have him cut this picture.
Rebecca! Oh, God. Rebecca! Silver or honey water or just man. Just
Move away.
John.
Move away.
No, John. She's not like the others. She's it doesn't work on her that way.
Move away. We can't take that chance.
John!
Get him straight.
Captain Howling.
Forgive me, Father.
Grey Knight was ultimately butchered by the producer Brad Cravoy and released under two different titles, The Killing Box and Ghost Brigade. Fortunately, the director's cut still exists on Laserdisc. It was a hard experience making a first-time feature, but the best thing that probably came out of it was a very solid friendship that I developed with Billy Bob Thornton.
Marcy!
Grey Knight got a really nice reception in Europe and at some festivals in the United States. It never got a theatrical release, unfortunately, I think largely due to the battle that Brad Cravoy and I had over, the final cut of the film. But nevertheless, the press did see my cut of the film. I got some nice reviews. It particularly did very well in Germany, where Grey Knight has become kind of a cult film. I think they like the fact that it works on a very metaphorical level, much like Apocalypse Now. And in fact, there's many comparisons drawn between Grey Knight and Apocalypse Now in Germany. And as a director, often it's a little more satisfying going to Europe because audiences there tend to be a little more embracing of films that aren't quite straightforward and mainstream. So that was kind of terrific. So I immediately went on and shot a short film with Billy Bob Thornton, who wrote One False Move, and with the actress Molly Ringwald and the actor J.T. Walsh, called some folks call it a Sling Blade. During the course of our friendship, Billy Bob Thornton told me about this character he had created, Carl Childers, a character that he performed among many characters in a one-man show he had called Pearls Before Swine.
Before me lay this thin, crooked, uncircumcised penis. You can imagine how badly I wanted my $25 back.
Cut!
Hey, we're cut.
All right.
I love the character so much, I suggest we make it into a feature film, not just a short film. And the short film would be the launching pad for finding the financing to make a feature. My experience making Grey Knight was such a disappointment that I was extremely eager to collaborate with Billy Bob. He had a wonderful character that he created, and we both felt that this was a very unique project that could really break out. So I got the financing together through the help of a producer named Adam Lindeman, and we shot the film in 3 short days in an abandoned hospital in Simi Valley where the Terminator had actually shot. It was one of the most fruitful collaborations of my career. We had a really strong friendship. Billy Bob's from Arkansas, I'm from Missouri. We both had the St. Louis Cardinals in common. We just really hit it off well, and it made the shoot a lot of fun. And it also made going to meetings, pitching Sling Blade as a feature, a very exciting time in my career. I think where Billy Bob and I started to have problems in our professional and personal relationship began with the last day of shooting on the short when we shot his monologue with Molly Ringwald.
So I run up on the screened-in porch there, looked in the kitchen window, and I seen my mother laying there on the floor with that ain't clothes on him.
At the time, Billy Bob requested that I shoot his monologue in close-up, which I agreed to do. However, as a filmmaker, I've always subscribed to the John Ford, Orson Welles, William Wyler school of filmmaking, which is a mise-en-scène style of directing. I wanted to create as much tension in the scene as possible, so I began the scene in a wide shot, which then led into a slow dolly into a close-up on Billy Bob's face. Billy Bob himself wanted the whole monologue to be in close-up, which I didn't really think the audience would sit through. Anyway, we shot it both ways, and the real problem came in the cutting room when Billy Bob unfortunately started to make personal and legal threats against me to have his monologue in entire close-up. I wasn't willing to do that because at the time I felt like Billy Bob wanted this not to be a short film, but wanted it to be an acting reel for his career. And I hadn't invested all this time and money, in addition with trying to set it up as a feature in order to provide Billy Bob with an acting reel. This had to be a short film whose character, narrative, and visual arc worked on its own. So I declined to use the close-up and instead went with the wide shot, slow tracking shot into close-up.
I taken this Kaiser blade. Some folks call it a sling blade. I call it a Kaiser blade. Now, I hit my mother upside the head with it. Killed her.
The consequence of that decision were more personal threats and insults from Billy Bob. He really didn't have much legal ground to stand on since I had financed, produced, and directed the picture. But I did obviously want to work with him. It was a collaboration, but he became so unpleasant that there was never really any room left for coming to a mutual understanding. He ultimately disowned the short, said it wouldn't get into a third-grade film festival. And when it did get into Sundance, and when it did get into the New York Film Festival, and when it did start winning awards around the world, getting great press, Billy Bob began to warm up to me again. And after a long lunch and reconciliation at Ben Frank's restaurant on Sunset Boulevard, we decided that we would proceed with trying to get the feature made, because at that point he admitted the short had turned out very well.
I reckon that's all you need to know. If you need to hear some more details, I reckon I can tell them to you. I don't know if that's enough for your newspaper or not. And anyhow, I reckon that's what you'd want to know.
Will you kill again, Carl?
I don't reckon I got no reason to kill nobody.